Hello YouTube, I am Nerd, and welcome to the Kingdom of Nerd. Hello YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. If you've never been in here before, hopefully you like what you see and you would like to subscribe to my channel. Apparently I can't talk today, but let's power through. So, clearly you know that I have started a new playlist that involves starting at the beginning of a new series of comic books and following it until the end or until it gets too dull to want to read it. So, I did The Punisher. I'm going to start a second one now, just so we have two going at the same time, because maybe one will release number 2 when the other one's still kind of rolling on the new one. So I have 2 of these, so I will have at least 2 videos up for this next comic I'm going to read and talk about. So, without further ado, I'm going to also read Civil War II. Now this is the Free Comic Book Day Civil War. This is supposed to do the tie-in that leads up to Comic Book Zero. So they had lead-ups from every storyline that they had out there right now. And at the top of all their comics would say like Civil War II tie-in or lead up to Civil War II. Iron Man, Miss Marvel, the awesome, the Awesome Hulk or whatever it is now, Thor, Spider-Man, Deadpool, like they all had the title above it because they're all gonna be in this some way, shape, or form. Now I have not read this yet. I should have the minute I bought it. Well, the minute I got it, because it was Free Comic Book Day. You didn't buy them, so I'm gonna go read it. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about it. Alright, well, I'm back from reading the book. I hope it wasn't too long of a wait. So let's dive straight into it. I wrote my notes down. I clearly did not read the bottom here. So it's half of a story for Civil War II and half of a story for the Avengers, the all-new Avengers. I'm just going to cut the all-new Avengers out because I'm not going to read it. No offense. But I will tell you what the story was. It was basically a small little backstory to, I think, comic book number 9 that's going to be coming out, or already did. I'm not sure if it came out yet. But it's following a new version of the Wasp, because it has a new timeline where Hank Pym sacrifices himself to Ultron. So Hank Pym dies. I don't even know who the character is, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, because they didn't give a name, and I haven't really been following it since. So I don't know if it's the original Wasp or it's a new Wasp. But she gets into Hank Pym's lab, makes her Wasp costume, and it shows her inside putting little bombs in a machine. Like, it fast forwards, and she goes, I'm going to show the Avengers, and she starts naming them all off, who I really am. And she comes out, and she was inside Vision, and she detonates the little bombs, and the last picture is Vision shooting lasers from his eyes and in the Infinity Crystal in his forehead. So, I mean, it has potential, but I don't know if I want to go back to number 1 and restart it. We'll see. Yeah, I might. I don't know. But I feel like this is going to do very well, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time on this series. And since I have the Punisher series going also, I'm going to have a lot on my plate, and odds are I'm going to find more number 1s that I want to read, so we'll get some stuff going. So, quick synopsis of Free Comic Book Day, Civil War number 2. Starts out with Captain Marvel and Black Panther waiting for someone to show up. War Machine shows up, and they weren't expecting him. Well, if you were reading the lead-ups to this, you know what was so significant about War Machine and Miss Marvel. If you haven't, you find out that they're dating, a long-distance relationship, but they're dating. Which is kind of interesting to me because they actually give War Machine a love interest, which is always interesting in the stories. So, keep talking, and you find out that they were waiting for the Inhumans, specifically Medusa, Crystal, and Lockjaw, and they were bringing, I don't know if he's part of the Inhumans or he's newer, because I've never heard of him. His name is Ulysses. He can see the future, and Black Panther thanks him for letting them do tests because it could potentially lead to great things. If he can see the future before it happens, they can stop big events. And as they're walking to the building, he kind of collapses, and they ask him if he's alright, and he goes, his name is Thanos. Thanos is coming. So, obviously, there's a reason why he's on the cover. So, they set up a trap, because he's looking for the Cosmic Cube. So, they set up a quick trap. I think they say it was like a 3-hour time span that they had to get it ready. He shows up, they all spring an attack. So, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, the Inhumans, specifically Medusa and Crystal, Lockjaw was not there, Miss America, who I've never heard of, Spectrum, She-Hulk, Blue Marvel, Dazzler, and the Human Torch all attack him at the same time, and they banter back and forth while they're attacking him, and he's complaining that Earth shouldn't have the Cosmic Cube. I say he as in Thanos, but he's saying Earth shouldn't have the Cosmic Cube, it's his. They're fighting him back and forth, and then they go, spring the attack, and Rhodes comes flying from down, like, he comes flying straight down at Thanos shooting his rockets and stuff, and there's some witty humor in there, and eventually Thanos gets She-Hulk and throws her, and it hits Rhodes, and no, I'm sorry. Medusa is wrapping up Thanos. Thanos grabs her by the hair because that's her power, is her hair can wrap you up like snakes. So he grabs the hair and flips her off of him. He hits War Machine while he's going to shoot a rocket. The rocket hits She-Hulk in the chest. So She-Hulk's down for the count. He's distracted by the guilt of hitting her with a missile, and Thanos punches him in the chest. And the only picture is Thanos' fist hitting it. Like, you can see it's like a full page picture. It's a pretty cool one, but you can see the back of his armor blowing apart because Thanos' punch was so strong. So Rhodes is down for the count too. And then it goes into a little montage of them all attacking him because they were upset that their friends were hurt. And I don't think Thanos gets away. I think he gets knocked out, which is surprising. But then it cuts away to someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. calling for emergency backup because She-Hulk and Rhodes is down. She-Hulk, and the last thing they said is She-Hulk is barely breathing, and Miss Marvel is holding Rhodes in her arms, screaming for help. And then it ends, and they go to the all-new Avengers. So, my mistake is that I didn't read all the backstories that were leading into it with all the new comic lines where, like I said before, it had, like, lead into Civil War. I don't know if it had anything to do with this comic leading into it, because there's a lot of stuff going on that I have no idea what's going on. All I care about at this point is the story that's following this one. Zero, which I'm going to do soon, hopefully clears up all my questions leading into the main number one. If not, I might have to do some back reading, or I can just pick Tom's brain from White Mountain Comics. He's my nerd dealer. Let's put it that way. I get most of my information from him. He has like a crystal ball. I don't know. I ask him questions and he just knows the answer. So I would say I'm very intrigued by this story. I have parts of the original Civil War, like the main story, and sadly I haven't read those yet. I know I'm bad. I get them and I put them straight in a package. I don't really want to open them. Like I should read them, but I'm not going to read them until I have the full set. So maybe I'll do one on the first Civil War also, but this one I'm going to do right now. So I don't have much else to say about it. The story was pretty well written. The art, I love the art in it. The banter back and forth is great. I don't really have much on it. It was a lot shorter than I anticipated because like I said, I didn't read the front and see that there was an Avengers halfway through the book. I was expecting a whole comic of just Civil War 2. But, I mean, it is what it is. So, I am fully anticipating the next comic, which I actually have on the table next to me out of camera range, because I'm going to upload another video after this one. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the same day. Probably not. But I'm going to read that one, do my thing, and we will find out what happens next. So, as always, I am Nerd, and welcome to my kingdom.